All right, welcome back. V.O.C. YouTube video college football on the day. Like I said, keep forgetting. I think it's week 6. Yeah, it's week 6. I always forget. Like when I go in, like, hey, what week is that? I need to start writing it down because I forget. As you can see from the title of this video, it's going to be a very controversial episode for a lot of people because they're not going to like what I have to say. But what I have to say, I think, is a very good, hard truth from what I've seen watching football, college-wise, so far this year. So let's jump into it. As I said, this video, a lot of people are going to like. They're going to tell me I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I think I do. I think I kind of have a feeling about what I'm going to say. So let's jump into who are the best teams in the country. I picked out 5, the top 5, and I want to break down each of them, and then I will say, I don't like ranking, but I think it's interesting to do to see how far we have come along. So, from week 1 to week 6 now. All right, first team we're going to break down here, Alabama. They're 5-0. They've scored 48.4 points per game, giving up only 11 points per game. Bryce Young's hurt right now. He got hurt in last week's game against Arkansas. That dampers them a lot. If he's not healthy, that offense only goes as far as he can take them. So if he's not healthy, that hurts. Wide receivers are super young. Great running back in Gibbs. So offensively, like I said, they can only go as far as Bryce Young. Still have Will Anderson on D, and their defense is very good. They have key wins against Texas, and at Arkansas. I know Arkansas is 3-2 right now, but that's still, by the end of the SEC play in the season, I feel like that's going to be a very good key win. So overall, Alabama very good. Wide receivers this year probably not as good as they have been in years past, but they're super young. Next team, Georgia. They are 5-0. They have scored 39 points per game, allowing 10.8 points per game. Stetson Bennett is more dynamic this year than he was last year. He's doing more. He's proving that he's more than just a game manager, which I'm very shocked by. They have offensive playmakers. Brock Bowers, second best tight end in the country. And then you have, their second tight end, maybe the third best tight end in the country. Their third tight end, maybe the fourth best tight end in the country. And they still have a very, very good defense. Great corners, secondary, defensive line, linebackers. And they have a key win against Oregon, first game of the year, where they just completely destroyed Oregon. All right, next team, Ohio State. They're 5-0, 48.8 points per game, allowing 14.8 points per game. They are, without a doubt, the best offense in the country. That's even without Jackson Smith-Njigba, who got knocked out during the Notre Dame game. So even without him, they're still the best offense in the country. They have 2 running backs. Offensive line is much improved from last year. C.J. Stroud is a beast at quarterback. Wide receivers galore. And their defense is very underrated. And this looks like a defense that Urban Meyer had when he played there. When he coached there. Or played there. When Urban used to coach there, they always had a great defense. Athletic all over the field. Secondary, very good. Linebackers are very good. Last year they had no linebackers. This year they have a lot of them, it feels like. Defensive line is yet again dynamic. Pass rushers all over the place. I think they're very underrated on defense. I think they're a very underrated team overall. Their key wins, I'm not full on, let's count Notre Dame as a key win. Because of what's happened in Notre Dame. Notre Dame only had the 1 loss to them. It's a key win. But losing to Marshall, Notre Dame's bounced back a little bit. But I don't know if you can count that as a key win. I technically wouldn't count it as a key win. But I bet people would count it as a key win because at the time Notre Dame was 5. But other than that, I think Ohio State's very well balanced and well rounded. It's a deep team. It's a very good team. It's one that you can look at and go, are they the best team in the country? Michigan, 5-0, 45.4 points per game, only giving up 11.6 points a game. Look, J.J. McCarthy is a spark that they needed. He's played better than I thought he would play. I thought he would have had some freshman mistakes. against Iowa, Maryland, things like that. But he's played very good. Quorum, their running back, is a top running back in the country. A top 10 back easily. You could make an argument maybe top 5 back, depending on who you argue with. And their defense has some dudes after losing a lot of good players. Michigan is... I knew they were good coming into the year, but I was like, I don't know, they're super young at some key positions. They lost a lot. How good can they be? They've won the games so far that they've needed to win, right? 5-0. Their non-conference was terrible, but they beat Maryland and they beat Iowa. I thought the Iowa game would be very tough for them. Played better than I expected. Michigan's doing that thing where they haven't played anybody good necessarily, but they've beat those teams the way you're supposed to beat those teams. A lot of teams maybe struggle. They have not. Their key win, you could make an argument it's Maryland, but you have to wait till the end of the year to see if that's a key win. Other than that, really no key wins. And then last team, Clemson. They're 5-0. 41 points per game. 21.4 points they've allowed. Look, DJU's balling. It should be Stroud 1, DJU 2 for Heisman right now. I think he has 11 touchdowns to 1 interception. He's been playing great. And I think he's playing better because not a lot of pressure's on him. People are not expecting as much. He comes in this year, boom, lets it all go, keeps going. Shipley at running back. They have a great running game. It is a very balanced team. They have playmakers on the outside. Their offense is very good. This is a Dabo offense. This is what Dabo does. Can run the ball, throw the ball. Your running back can run the ball. DJ's now running a little bit more. Well balanced. You don't know where the ball is going. This feels like more of a Dabo team compared to last year, just on the fact of how DJU is playing. He's playing exceptional right now. Their D-line is fantastic. They've played some better teams, so defensively, right, there's been some injuries and things where some guys haven't played, but they have a great defensive line. There are some holes on that defensive line and in that defense, but I think as the season picks up and keeps going, they'll continue to figure more things out. Remember, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, so they have to figure those things out. But Clemson, very, very good team, especially the way DJU's playing. And their key wins, I think they have the best 2 wins in the country. At Wake Forest, which was an overtime win. Wake Forest is a very good football team. And then at home against NC State. NC State was 10 in the country. They beat them. 2 quality wins right there. All right, so how would I rank these teams as of right now? I think the number 1 team in the country, to me, this is how I'd rank it if I had a vote. I don't have a vote, but if they wanted to give me a vote, this is how I'd do it. Ohio State at 1. I think they're very underrated, and I think Ohio State as a whole is the most balanced, complete team in the country. People are going to hate it, but they can score, and their defense is good. So, boom. I think they're the best team. At 2, I would put Georgia. I know they just had the close game, but recent history shows us teams that have won the national title recently, you look at LSU, Alabama, teams that have won recently, Clemson's, they had close games that they played against conference rivals or tough games, and they still went on to dominate the rest of the year. Georgia coming off that close game against Missouri, where they almost lost, to me, it's not going to hurt them. Right now, I put Bama at 3 just because Bryce Young isn't fully healthy. Bryce Young is fully healthy. I might consider them at 2. I think when Bryce Young's healthy, I think Georgia, Alabama are probably 2A, 2B. 4, I put Clemson. Clemson, you're like, oh, Caleb, you just love them, talk so much. Defensively, I have some problems with them, but they have played better teams than the other 4 teams. So I put them at 4 because of those defensive issues, but they could work their way up. Beating 2 ranked teams back-to-back weeks, that showed a lot because that's a tough thing to do. And then at 5, look, I think Michigan's a very good football team, but they're better than I thought, but the schedule hurts them when I put them up against the other four teams, but they're a very good football team, completely better than I thought. And it'll be interesting to see how they continue on. Like, playing Penn State and playing Ohio State, those are probably two of the biggest games I'm looking forward to as the season goes on. Michigan versus Penn State and Michigan versus Ohio State, and then Ohio State versus Penn State as well. Like, those three games I think are huge for seeing how this season ranks out, because I think all three teams are very good teams. But I think there is a gap in the Big Ten. Ohio State, then there's Michigan, and Penn State are right there. So yeah, that's how I'd rank it. Ohio State 1, Georgia 2, Bama 3, Clemson 4, Michigan 5. That's how I'd rank it right now after watching the games. All right, picks this week. 5-3 last week, 24-12 on the season. I can pick college football left and right. I can do it blind. That's how good I am at it. It feels like every week I'm hot. So let's jump into it. Hopefully we can keep this going. Number 8, Tennessee, who's 4-0. 3-point favorite at number 25, LSU, who's 4-1. Brian Kelly had that heartbreaker of the first game where they should have won. And now, big test. Home game, big test. I really like Tennessee. I think they're a very good football team. I think it's close, but I think Tennessee wins it. All right, number 17, TCU, 4-0, 7-point favorite at newly ranked number 19, Kansas, who is 5-0. This is one of those games where I think, you can get into the hype of, man, Kansas. But it's like, is TCU the better football team? They just beat Oklahoma down. I like TCU in this game. Number 11, Utah, 4-1, minus 3.5-point favorite at number 18, UCLA. This is one of those games, if UCLA had a better home environment, if they had a home environment like an SEC team, like a Michigan, like an Ohio State, like a Penn State, I would say you go LSU, you go UCLA in this game. But, because I think UCLA is very talented, I really like them, really like their quarterback, DTR is dynamic. But, with this not being, this is one of those games where I could look at and go, Caleb, should have went with your first thought of UCLA, but I'm going to go Utah here. Texas A&M 3-2 at number 1 Alabama, who is 5-0. Alabama is a 24-point favorite without their quarterback. This is the Jimbo versus Nick Saban. Everybody's looking forward to this. This matchup's kind of weak now that we've seen what Texas A&M has become. But I think it's an interesting game. I think Texas A&M comes ready to play. And I think it's closer than that 24, but I'm still going to go with Alabama. Florida State, 4-1 at number 14, NC State. NC State is 4-1 coming off the loss to Clemson, 3-point favorite. This is an interesting game. NC State played Clemson better than I thought they would. I'm going to go NC State here. This is not one of those hard picks, but it's one of those picks that gets you thinking. Arkansas, 3-2 at number 23, Mississippi State. 9.5-point favorite Mississippi State is. I really like Arkansas. They should have beat Texas A&M, and then they lose to Bama. I'm going to go with Arkansas here as the underdog to beat Miss. I just like Arkansas's quarterback a lot, and I like their coach. All right, Red River Rivalry. This is Red River Rivalry. Can't talk. This is, we thought was going to be a big matchup when it came. It's still big, but it's not as important for the national crowd. It's very important if you're a Texas-Oklahoma fan. But Texas 3-2, minus 9.5-point favorites versus Oklahoma 3-2. Oklahoma's coming off 2 straight losses. Quinn Ewers is back for Texas. That's enough for me. Give me that mall any day of the week. I'm going to go Texas to win this one. Texas should have won last year with Lincoln Riley as the coach. So I would hope that they win this year with Oklahoma and Venables as the coach. So yeah, that's going to do it. Picks, breaking down the top 5 teams in the country, who I think number 1 is right now. Like I said, I think it's Ohio State. I think they're the best. They're the most complete right now. I think they're the best team in the country. They're the best offense. Defense is very good. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching.